What's going on, people? So, last of my reviews for today, right? Brings us over to this. So, down there, what does that say? The Asics Metaspeed Ray in white, I guess, colorway, maybe? I don't know. Didn't really read the side of the box, didn't think it mattered. You know what I'm saying? But if you cared, there was a picture, right? So you could have seen it for yourself, anyways. Moving on past that and whatnot. I've had these things since, I don't know, whenever Asics put them on the site to be bought, plus, a few days for shipping and whatnot. It's just that I didn't get around to wearing these until this past weekend. It's October 27th, so I wore these on the 24th and the 25th. Yeah. And now I'm able to sit down and talk about these and those, right? It's been a lot of a delay getting to things because, I'm only the one person, so being able to put in some miles on all the stuff before I talk about it just takes a while. But whatever, enough about my excuses and nonsense. No one really cares about that. Speaking of, if you don't care about any part of this video, there are timestamps, so you can just move on along whenever you want to. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump on into some introductions and pictures and all that stuff. So, this right here, right? We're going to start this thing down here with the bottom. Down there, what you're looking at, that is going to be pretty much like your standard outsole and whatnot for a lot of shoes like this. They don't give you too much on there, right? It's mostly just going to be a little bit for the traction and whatnot, and then, man, it is run down in the back here. You can't see that because you're seeing better pictures, but these things have been through. You would think they've been through a lot, right? I wore these so few times. I did a track workout in these once, right? So that was I think that ended up being a total of 3 miles. I wore them to a run group once. That was 4 miles, right? So then we're up to 7. I wore them for a mile run on Friday. So we're up to 8. And then I wore them for, what was Saturday? That was a 10K, right? So was this 14, right? Yeah. I got 14 miles in these things. They look like death has happened to them, right? But whatever. It is what it is. I just needed enough to get an idea for how they work out. Anyways, we'll come back to that in a bit. So I'll get you some more pictures and whatnot so we can talk about these things. It won't be the normal breakdown of review stuff that I always do because these have been all around long enough that I feel like it's just not necessary. But I will say this. This upper on these things, right? It's very weird to me in this sense because it's if it seems so weird, it seems so loose and there's nothing there, but at the same time it really holds your feet in super secure and I had no problems running around in these things. Everything felt really locked in and stuff, so that was cool. So I was it's kind of just surprising how that worked out, right? And then otherwise, it's all just very much plain. You've seen a million pictures of these, I'm sure, because this is the only one out there, right? And I don't think I really talked about the midsole, but the midsole was also white at one point, right? All that flight foam leap down there, right? A little bit of branding on the side and stuff. But otherwise, it's very cool, because these things, they come out looking kind of chunky, but they're 5-6 ounces, something like that, as far as weight goes. It's crazy how light these were, and a lot of my co-workers and stuff, because I wore these to work the day that I ran in them or something. The day before, when I ran in them that night, I wore them to work that day. Wow, those are interesting, and I showed them to them. How are they so light? And I'm I don't know, science. Anyways, so past that, right? Visual speaking, right? The pictures and stuff. You'll see a couple more, but I think they'll speak for themselves, right? So I'll just jump on right now and just go into the personal opinion and whatnot, which is a lot of the same stuff I've already said, but it's an excuse to show you some more pictures. I'm a big fan of the way this worked out as far as the build and everything. I will say I'm not a huge white shoe guy, so that kind of holds these back from me thinking super highly of them and all that. But that's just kind of one of those things, a very personal opinion, right? But as far as the overall build and construction and all that stuff, right? That I'm coming around to it. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the thick, chunky midsoles and stuff. But in this case, there's so little of the rest of the shoe that it still almost in some ways comes out looking mildly normal, right? But at the same time, still weird. But at the same time, right, all I'm saying is I look at this thing and it's growing on me, and I think part of that is because I've worn it a little bit and I know that it's working out well. So like this look that even though I'm not a huge fan of it, it's all making sense, right? Now when people go and they change things and then the visual kind of sucks and then the shoe kind of sucks, it's like, okay, what are you even doing over here, people? Right? But in this case, I got no real complaints about it. So it's kind of cool. I will say I'll stand by it. Like, I wish they had other colors because, that would be nice. But at the same time, I get it. These things are $300. If you're probably not buying these straight up for the looks at that point, you're buying them for the performance. And this is like a fine shoe. It stands out. The white thing, it's going to draw some attention. So there is that to be said. But all in all, no real complaints, just, personal opinions. Like I said, that's the internet, right? A whole lot of personal opinions, not necessarily to be taken as facts in most cases. Anyways, so past that, we'll get on in here. Actually, one thing that I do want to talk about, though, because it's like actually kind of nice. So down on the inside, though, I didn't really mention it because I forgot, but you have like a different sort of material in the front, right? Which kind of helps stop your foot from slipping around, which is good because, if you're going to be running around like quickly and whatnot, you do want to make sure you've got some sort of traction on the inside and obviously on the outside too. Now, moving on past all that, we can jump into the sizing and comfort and all that stuff, right? So let's go ahead and do it. I bought these in a size 9.5, which is a true to size fit for me, right? Everything's working out pretty all right. No complaints about it. Like I said earlier in the video, I did have some questions about how this upper was going to feel, but even though it's so like light and flimsy and basically like nothing there, it actually holds your feet pretty well. So I had no complaints about that. I will say I've got some complaints about this midsole though, but only because I used it in a case where I should not have used it, right? Because this super thick, super plush, all that stuff, right? So it's got like all give to it. When you are running a mile thing and you have like some turns to take, this shoe is not your friend, right? Like, I thought that at any point I might just die. But if you have when you have the straights and such, that's good, because I did the mile run on Friday, got like a 5:40ish. On the Saturday, did the 10K, so that's what, 6.2 miles. Got what, 6:45 on that one. So yeah, the 10K, a lot more straights to work with, right? So I was able to just kind of like go straight along, have some speed. These things felt like I was just gliding the whole time. Even when I first wore these, which was on a track workout, and we were doing like 6-minute paces, yeah, it felt like no effort whatsoever to do that. I mean, obviously it takes some effort because you got to be able to move quickly, but I'm just saying, the effort that it's felt like on other speed shoes, I didn't feel like I had to put in nearly as much. So that was nice. But again, the turning thing is going to be an issue, I would say. So just think about whatever course you're going to be on and how well you're really trying to do, and just be ready for that, right? Make whatever adjustments are necessary. But otherwise, I've got no complaints. When you want some speed, this thing is definitely going to deliver. I mean, do you want to spend $300 on these though? That is the question. That is the question. And that is an answer I do not have. That is for you and however you spend your money, right? Because that is a lot of money, period. I mean, I will stand by saying, like, I really liked the skies, right? So that's something to consider. It's, save you $15, I guess, but which isn't a whole lot at that point, in my opinion. But there's also, well, no, I was going to say the Hyperion Elite 5s, but those are also $275. So, yeah. But I will say this, and I haven't really said it in those other ones, but I'll say it now again. Carbon plated shoes are very nice, right? You run around in your normal daily trainers, whatever those may be, maybe some of those Sonic Blasts or something, right? And you get some speed built up, right? You got to work for a little bit. But then on race day or whatever, you put on something like this that's going to work out in your favor because it's going to help do some of the work for you. And you'll move along faster, but use the same amount of energy for the most part, right? So that's kind of nice. It is. Is it necessary to like go and buy like all the carbon shoes and whatnot? If you truly need to squeeze out every second of your PR times or whatever, sure, yeah, like they are not going to hurt you, that's for sure. So go ahead and get them. Otherwise, like if you're looking at the cost and thinking like, do I really need those? Like, not really. I mean, because I've got some good times in these, sure, but like, what's it really matter, right? Like nobody cares. Like it's cool. I can say like, oh yeah, I did this in whatever speed or whatever time, but who am I saying that to? And like, again, for what reason? So if you're like some sort of professional type athlete and stuff, yeah, cool. Or if you just got some extra money to throw around, sure, cool. But if you don't, again, there are a lot of things out there that are pretty nice and will get you some really good times. Also, you could always just, work harder, right? Not to be like mean or whatever, but I did one of my best 5Ks the other day in some supernova rise 2s, and those are not known for like being a fast shoe at all. Just saying, you can do some great things if you put some effort in. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, wherever you are. I'm done recording videos. No, I gotta do some on feeds, don't I? Later, people.